Have you ever seen two kids play the game, my dad's bigger than your dad, or my dad could beat up your dad, or however the variation of that goes? We know how kids do that in the playground, right? Like they want to know, and they do believe that their dad is the strongest, is the biggest around. It reminds me of a time when I was in middle school. I had a friend by the name of Bobby. He was probably one of the bigger kids in the school. He was strong, he was tough, he was an athlete, and he was a good friend of mine, and I was thankful for that. But I remember I was, one day, this kid decided he wanted to pick on me and get in a fight with me. And all I remember through that experience was I was supposed to meet this kid across the street. Literally, it's so funny because across the street from my middle school were these two churches, and this space between two churches where kids would meet and fight. I was not a fighter. I've always been a pretty sensitive kid, just kind of sensitive, right? Like I can cry at a Hallmark commercial or a card commercial. I've always joked about. So this kid wanted to fight me. I don't even remember what the cause was. I don't remember what I did. I don't remember how I made him so mad that he wanted to fight. But all I remember in that was my friend Bobby said, "You know what? Don't worry about it. I'll show up for you." Here's the thing. I don't remember anything after that. I don't remember if the fight ever happened. I don't remember if Bobby showed up. I don't know what happened. My guess is that word got around and the kid just kind of backed off because Bobby was going to show up in my place. You know what? We as Christians and as people that live on this earth and have been affected by sin, we have struggles that we face, whether they be internally, we face a bully inside sometimes, or we face external crises that can be like bullies. And this last week, as I was reading through 1 John, I came to 1 John 4:4, and it says, "He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world." My friends, we need to take great comfort in that verse. We need to take great comfort in the fact that the Spirit is within us and the Spirit lives in us and dwells in us, and that he is greater than he who is in the world. And I think I would take it a step further with us as well, and not add to the scripture, but I think it's the truth that is throughout scripture, that not only is he greater than he who is in the world, the Spirit within us is greater than the flesh that is in us and that we are waging war with at times. You know, as we look at this season, many of us working from home with our kids running around being crazy, maybe not having a job. And so we're facing both external crisis of potential sickness, potential loss of finances, of means of going into debt, of whatever it may be, the loss of a business. We have that external thing that we're fighting, that the enemy through sin has brought into the world. But then also you may be facing the internal battle of the enemy within your flesh that is at war within you. Because you know what? When you are home and you get looking on the internet, and whether you fall into things you shouldn't be looking at, or you're reading things about the virus right now that could be causing a lot of fear in your life that is unneeded and not necessary, and it brings you to a place of anxiety. You may be battling the flesh inside of you when it comes to not being grumpy and angry with your kids because they've made a mess one too many times. I'm speaking from experience on that one. But the reality is, I think each one of us during this crazy season of life are probably going to hit at times kind of a breaking point, not just because of the things from without that we're facing or that we're going to have to overcome, but the things from within us as well. And I think this verse in 1 John 4:4 that says, "Greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world," should bring us great comfort, because the Spirit is in us to empower us, to strengthen us, to comfort us, to guide us in overcoming these things that we will face outside of us and these things that we'll face inside of us. Then as I was reading, that reminded me of one of the funnest passages in Scripture. It's Psalms 115, 2 and 3. It says, "Why should the nations say, 'Where is their God?' And then the response is, 'Our God is in heaven. He does all that he pleases,'" right? Like that's That's the psalmist saying, my dad's bigger than your dad. My dad will take your dad any day. That is the psalmist saying, greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. So we come not to this crazy time of life on our own as Christians, as someone who is all by ourselves, facing these battles, facing these hard times, facing these struggles, facing the battles within us when we're alone, whether that be a depression or sinful thoughts or sinful actions. We face it not only with the Spirit in us, we also face it with the God of the universe who is in heaven doing whatever he pleases, who's there to care for us, who's to provide us, who's to watch over us. In Psalms 54, as I was reading it today, it talks about him being the upholder of our life. And so, friends, no matter how tough this season may be for you right now, I don't know what you're facing. I know we've been dealing with my wife being sick the last few days and just kind of the anxiety that's rising a little bit. The work that I do, how do we transition and do things differently than we have in the past and making hard decisions there. I have to remind myself, not just in the morning as I get up and spend time with the Lord, but I'm working hard. I'm trying to put things into my life that remind me more throughout the day that he who is in me is greater than he who is in the world. Trying to remind myself throughout the day that my God is in heaven and he does whatever he pleases. My friends, we have a God who is big. We have a God who is powerful. We have a God who is going to carry you through whatever may come over the next few weeks and the next few months. And as I was reminded in Hebrews not too long ago, that we are living for the city beyond. And the Lord, his Spirit, gives us the strength and the wisdom to do that. So I just encourage you guys tonight, whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're facing, please take hope in the fact that he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world.